Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode. And today I want to do a solo episode and really cover what I believe are 8 key strategies for better weight loss that are from a psychological standpoint. So we all know, that calories are king, and it's going to come from a place of putting ourselves in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. We also know that moving our body, creating some form of exercise regimen that is trackable, trainable, is going to be absolutely key. And then there are all these other fundamental principles like hydration, sleep, stress reduction. And these are the commonly talked about things. So I actually want to go the other direction, because ultimately we know what to do. And it's not about knowing what to do. It's about being able to do it. And I always say to know and to not do is to not really know. And so what are some of the psychological aspects that are happening there? What are those behaviors? And what do we need to do in order to shift those to make some changes? And so that's why I wanted to shoot this podcast for you. So it's my kind of 8 psychological strategies for better weight loss. So let's just dive in and go through what these are. So the first one is to befriend your body. And I know it can sound a little lovey-dovey, right? Oh, it's just another self-care thing. But put simply, it's really hard to change a body that you don't like. It's impossible, ultimately, to have this script, this narrative, this language about yourself as this person that you're trying to beat up and then run away from, and to then find some form of glory. It's counterintuitive because you've labeled yourself as such, and what we chase will run. And so ultimately, it's so much easier to be pulled than it is to be pushed. And if you're constantly just berating yourself with this negative self-talk, then that's the person that you're going to be holding onto, because that's the person, by doing that, you believe you deserve to remain as. And so we're going to stay there. It's really hard to push ourselves from that standpoint. But if we're able to just shift and just appreciate the body that we are in and look at all the different aspects. Sure, it may not be the physique that you want to carry right now. It may not move in the capacity that you truly desire it to move. But these are the starting points. These can add fuel to the fire to help us move in a direction. But we need to be able to appreciate what they do and what they can do and what they have done. Because ultimately, there's a good chance that to some aspect, that bigger body frame or that frame that doesn't move as well has probably served you extremely well. It's served you extremely well up until this point. You may be saying, like, how so? I haven't done anything with it. It hasn't served me at all. But ultimately, it might mean that you put all of your energy, your time into some other aspect of life, and you advanced your career to a wonderful place where you can now focus on this, or you put family as a main priority. And that's okay. There are different seasons of life. And sure, we'd love to go back in time, snap our fingers and correct some of those things and do that age-old phrase that everybody's grandpa seems to say, if I knew now what I wish I knew then, right? That whole kind of concept. But it's just not the reality. And so what we need to do is appreciate what your body has been able to do, even though you may have not done what you wish you had done with it. And so it's letting go of that negativity, letting go of any of that berating, that bad self-talk that doesn't serve you. And what we appreciate will appreciate. And what we depreciate, depreciates. So if you're depreciating this body that you're in, it's counterintuitive for weight loss. And you're just going to make it even more challenging. So I do challenge you to befriend your body. Because the more that we can feed it positivity and ask it from a standpoint of, why do I have such a body that looks the way that I want and moves so well? Then what we are actually saying to ourselves every time we do this, why do I have this? It is really saying, I have this. That's what the brain hears. And so what the brain hears becomes a thought. That thought becomes an action, the doing then of course leads to the result. And so call it reticular brain activation, call it manifestation, call it just tricking your good old brain, but it's the psychology of befriending your body will actually help pull you forward. Again, we don't want to be pushed. We want to be pulled. And so I'm going to challenge you to just simply ask yourself that question. Fill in the blank however you want it to be, but why do I have a body that moves extremely well, is pain-free, is lean, is strong, is toned, whatever it is that you want to put within there, that's going to be powerful. Brain's just going to hear the I have instead of, why do I have a body that's not well? Why didn't I take better care of myself? So all your brain hears is within that is didn't take care of myself. I have a body that didn't take care of myself. So you're reinforcing that. So I challenge you to capture that language and flip the script on it and truly start to just befriend your body to the best of your abilities. And that is some challenging shit. On to strategy number 2 with that, my friends. Ask yourself the right questions. So often, like I was just phrasing a question there, right? It's so easy to ask ourselves that wrong question, that negative question, that question that just demeans our shape or self-worth and makes it about weight, right? So anytime that you have these thoughts that are arising, because our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all very much related, like what we think truly influences how we will feel, which then informs what we do or don't do. So we're going to have these thoughts that arise, thoughts of, I don't feel like doing it now. And that's okay to have those thoughts. I rarely feel like training, like eating healthy, but it's what you do with those thoughts. And so the first most important question, ask yourself with this strategy is, does this thought work for me or against me? Second question, does this sound like something that is accurate, compassionate, or helpful? And that's a really powerful one. Is this an accurate statement? Is this an accurate thing that I am thinking? And so you may be like, yeah, it is true that I am fat, but absolutely know that it is not serving you or compassionate or helpful. So it's still checking off one of those within that box. And so then we can ask ourselves, do I need to hold on to this? So does this thought work for me or against me? And if it's working for me, utilize it, harness it, go with it. If it works against you, let it go. Does this sound like something that is accurate? If it's not, then let it go. Move on. Release it. Be compassionate to yourself. Is it compassionate? No? Okay, I need to let it go. Is it helpful? Yes? Okay, sweet. Then I'm going to carry on with this one. And then who would I be without this thought? Who would I be without this thought? And by doing that, you're becoming the person that you truly deserve to become. And that goes back to question number 1, strategy number 1, which is to befriend your body. Strategy number 3 is find value in the process. The process, the journey, it's the most critical part. And I remember the first time climbing Mount Rainier, they specifically said, we probably won't summit because of weather, and that's okay. It's not about the summit, it's about the journey. You are here to climb Mount Rainier. And that's what we want to be able to say, is that you climbed Mount Rainier. The summit, icing on the cake. But we don't need to summit. We need to come back. We need to come back. We need to come back alive. And so often, it's easy to define your success in terms of the weight, the scale, a certain pant size. And ultimately, you might reach a level of happiness along that journey that is completely different. And so if you're stuck in this identity that I need to weigh this, look this, be this in order to be happy, we're delaying that process of happiness, then we have lost the true value that is coming from the journey itself. And so I challenge you, because it's so easy to lose that 15 pounds that you say that you want to lose in order to be happy. And then you get down there and you realize, oh, I'm still unhappy. It had nothing to do with this. And I think that's a lot of reason why most people who lose weight will regain it, is because they realize it had nothing to do with the weight the entire time. It had to do with something else. And I was using this, the weight, as a scapegoat for not addressing the real emotional issues that I really need to spend some time figuring out and working with a professional on. Because you need to, again, going back to strategy number 1, befriend your body. And if you can befriend your body and love the body that you're in now, then you're just going to love what it can do at an even greater capacity, because what you appreciate appreciates. So you're going to ask yourself those questions to remove some of those thoughts that surface to derail you so that you can find value in the process, right? And so this is what having a growth mindset is all about. And so I challenge you, as you're going to realize it is not about the outcome. It's surrendering the outcome. Set the outcome to lose whatever it is, and just find value in the process and what you can learn from it and how you can grow. Because that's where we'll truly actually get there, because we start doing the daily action habits that are necessary for actually us to achieve that result. And so that's the reason we get there. And so that brings me to strategy number 4, which is why these are all aligned this way, is develop habits you can stick with. It's not about setting the weight and the scale and tying it all to that and only focusing on that success. Because ultimately, you could say, well, I need to lose weight, so I need to lose 20 pounds, and I'm going to do it by running 5 miles every single day. I'm going to do that 7 days a week, and I'll be able to lose that weight in 3 weeks. Is that possible? Absolutely. But remember, develop habits you can stick with. The things that you're working on, the things that you're putting into place, yes, there may be a stronger level of push during certain phases. Right? There's going to be those times where we do need to implement a little bit more rigidity or a little bit more structure, a little bit more intensity. But ultimately, when we're looking at this from a sustainability standpoint for the rest of your life, where you can actually enjoy life, let's make it stuff that you can stick with. Habits that once they are formulated actually change your behavior. If we put a focus on eating good quality protein with every single meal, and that becomes a habit, it is no longer then something we need to do to go on a diet. If once we do that, we can ration some greens, some veggies into every single one of our meals, or at least our main ones, and make that a habit, well, then we're naturally going to eat less of other foods that might be higher in calories that keep us away from our goal. So that way we don't just make it a time frame based goal that we achieve only to lose it back. And we know statistically that 95% of all people who lose weight will regain all of that weight back within 3 years. Within 3 years, my friends. So only 5% of the people are developing the actual habits that they can truly stick with. And so I challenge you to focus on that. Pull back to the point where if you were to ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being 100% positive, I know I could stick with this habit for the rest of my life and get it done without any kind of issue. If it's not a 9 or a 10, pull it back. Pull it all the way back until it's that. If for you right now, you start off, you're like, all right, I really got to lose weight. I'm going to get into the gym and I'm going to work out. Whether, I don't know if you can at the time that this is being recorded and airing, we're in quarantine, not able to be in a gym. But if you're saying I'm going to work out 6 days a week, and then you ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being 100% positive that I can maintain this 100% of the time, you're like, oh, wait, no, that's like a 1. I can really only do this for the next 6 weeks. Oh, well, what about once a week? If 6 times a week was a 10, it was a 1, what would only once a week be? Oh, that's 10. I can guarantee do that. Cool. What would 2 be like? 2 would be like an 8. Well, then that's where we're starting. That's where we're starting. We're going to build that until it is a habit, and then maybe eventually we'll add 3. There's nothing wrong. Slow is fast. Slow is very fast because adherence is the baseline that is so, so critical. So strategy number 4 is simply develop habits you can stick with. Strategy number 5, watch the language you choose. Language is honestly the biggest thing that I catch people on, coach people on, help people recognize within themselves. The stories, the I ams, the I haves, the I can'ts. This shapes everything. And so it's even going as far as examining some of the language that you tend to find yourself using. So if you're one that says, oh, I just can't do that. Just and can't. Where's that coming from? What is it that you can't do? And start to examine it, right? If the word exercise is a trigger for you, because you're like, I just hate exercise. That's fine. You can not enjoy exercising, but can we train our brain to use a different word that we find some enjoyment? So maybe exercising sounds awful, sounds miserable because you've had some really poor experiences with it. Maybe a past trainer that didn't know exactly what they're doing, beat your body up, and you felt like crap. So maybe you don't exercise anymore. Maybe you train. Maybe you have a training plan, training program, and a personal trainer. Or maybe it's movement. Maybe that seems much more palatable, less discouraging way of discussing the entire process to just say, yeah, I really focus on movement. I move every day. Maybe that's a walk. Maybe that's swimming. Maybe that's actually lifting some weights, some yoga. Maybe it's some joint hygiene, but I just move every day. Sounds less intimidating. And we're going to this little micro habit of just a little bit every day. So that goes back to that strategy number 4 that we are putting into place. Or perhaps it's not that you're on a diet, because diet has a negative connotation for you, but it's eating until I'm almost full. I don't do a diet. I just eat until I'm almost full. Right before I'm full, I just make sure I stop. That works really well for me. I'm not on a diet. Great. It's the same thing, but it's changing those pieces of language that we may have a negative connotation to so that we can watch it, adjust it, catch it, and utilize it so that we're not avoiding doing the work because of it. But it does take looking at the words that you're using, seeing what triggers you and how you feel about it and what you can do about it. Strategy number 6, get comfortable with setbacks. Ultimately, I found that anytime I set something massive, right, or set something that I really want to go after in any capacity, I swear to you, the universe is like, sweet, prove to me that you can do it. Here's a giant little setback right at the beginning. And it is just this one little thing to say, ooh, all right. It's like you say, all right, I'm gonna work out and I'm gonna lose weight, and then all of a sudden you get sick out of nowhere. You're like, what the heck? I'm working to get healthier, and then here I go, and I just lost 2 weeks. And that's the script that gets put in your head. So we have to go back and look at that language. Did you lose 2 weeks? No. Did you ever own 2 weeks? No. 2 weeks have passed in clock time, but you did not lose them. You did not gain them. They were just there to be there. And so we need to look at, where are we going to be comfortable with setbacks? Because ultimately they're going to happen no matter what. And this is really the difference between someone with a growth mindset and someone with a non-growth mindset. And so I challenge you to look at the setbacks as just a setup for the comeback. It's just a way to know that there's going to be something that causes you to slip back a little bit. And that's okay. It's not, you're not on a timeline, because you found value in the process. Going back to strategy number 3. And that's why that one is so critical in being up there. Right now, I mean, we're all experiencing challenging setbacks in every aspect of life with COVID and quarantine and all this stuff that is bringing us unique challenges. And so ultimately, it's getting comfortable with knowing, yeah, there's going to be some setbacks, and that's okay. But what can I learn from this? How can I find value within this process? How can I catch this language, from strategy number 5 that I am aware of, and then choose to do better things with that language? So that means I got to ask myself some better questions, going back to strategy number 2. And then ultimately, once I've been able to figure that out, I'm just going to develop habits that I can stick with, going to strategy number 4. So these are so critical. So moving on, we got 2 more here. I don't want to wrap this up for you guys, trying to not keep this too long. Strategy number 7 is use the power of yet. It's probably one of the most critical words that you could ever put in your vocabulary, because it's going to come where you find yourself with a language piece or, some kind of sentence, some kind of thing that you say, maybe you say it to someone else, maybe say it to yourself, but it just really doesn't serve you, right? And you can catch it. I haven't reached my ideal weight yet. And it just allows this little bit of space for you to pivot, for you to start to adapt, for you to start to change. And that's all we really need. It's just the space, so we're not owning the identity of, I haven't reached my ideal weight, therefore all of the negative feelings that come with that. Yet means that you're still on the journey, you're still making progress, you're finding value in the process. I'm not making it to the gym 3 times a week like I said I would yet. I haven't figured out an eating plan that works for me yet. Yet is just this little piece of expansion that is going to allow you to handle the challenges that you're currently dealing with, giving you some time and space, hope to be pulled forward, to not be solidified, stuck within that sentence that you find yourself living in from a brain standpoint, and be able to be pulled forward. Strategy number 8, aim for progress, not perfection. Something we've all heard, but ultimately, like, if you eat well 90% of the time, you're going to lose weight. If you work out and take care of your physical capacity, even if it's 90% as well as you would hope to be, even 80%, perhaps even 70%, you're going to be okay. So it's kind of asking yourself a question. Remember, asking good questions. How can I make this a little healthier? How can I make this exercise a little bit cleaner, performed a little bit better? It's asking these right questions so that we're focusing on the right things. Because when we set the intention on something positive, on the value of the experience, and not on the negative, where we set our intention, our attention will follow. So if we're setting our intention to make progress, our attention will go to things that'll help us make progress. If we're setting our intention on things that are based on perfection, our attention will go to things that'll ensure perfection. And then when we don't meet that, that's where we self-sabotage in some way because we spiral. So then we tell ourselves we're not worthy of it. We knew we couldn't ever do it. And we go down that horrible, horrible path. And so to catch ourselves with that, we go to strategy number 1, which is to befriend your body. Realize that setbacks are going to happen and we're getting comfortable with those. And then throw that word yet in there and then bring it back to just aim for more progress and let go of the perfection. So by consistently making better choices rather than perfect ones, staying on track simply becomes easier and so much more sustainable. All right, my friends, hopefully that definitely helps. Reach out if you have any questions, if you have any topics that you want me to cover, anything that is truly in need on your end, and happy to help. As always, you can find that little button, that iTunes button for a review. Click that, drop a little 5-star, drop a rating on there. That would be very, very helpful. And share this with anybody that you think that would need it. All right, my friends, that's it for me today. You guys have a good one. Peace be the journey. Go Joseph. I'm out.